नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized, text 40 onwards. So last time Krishna said, thus far I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works. And in the shloka, the term came Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yoga Tvimam Shino. So Prabhupada explains Buddhi Yoga, real Buddhi Yoga is Bhakti Yoga. Means one who has knowledge, he'll surrender and he'll work for the pleasure of Krishna. And then what happens if one works in bhakti, if one makes some advancement in bhakti? Text 40. Na iha abhikram nasho asti pratyavayo na vidyate svalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahto bhaya. In this endeavor, means in this endeavor of bhakti or bhakti yoga, there is no loss or diminution. And a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Very, very important for us to understand. And Prabhupada says, activity in Krishna consciousness or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, nor can that small beginning be lost at any stage. This is the beauty of Bhakti Yoga. Even if we make only 1% advancement in this lifetime, that will remain with us always, because Bhakti is, after all, spiritual. It's not material. We do it with material senses, and many times we do it with material consciousness also. But the purpose is to serve and to please the Lord. Then it becomes spiritual. And when it is spiritual, as like spirit soul cannot be cut into pieces or cannot be destroyed, so is any spiritual activity. And Bhakti Yoga is the topmost spiritual activity. And this is what Krishna says, that it cannot be lost or diminution. Means it cannot just go down slowly. No. Whatever we have done, it remains as a permanent asset, no matter how many lifetimes we go through. In the material world, any activity that we take up, it has a start and it has an end. Suppose we take up, so we start a business and we want to make money, and we make money, maybe we make millions and millions of dollars. But if you don't lose it before, then at the time of death, everything will be taken away. We cannot take it with us. And next life, we cannot say, oh, that was my bank account in the previous life, now transfer it to my account here. No. Next life, we have to start from scratch. If we like to study a lot and we have so many degrees, PhD and this and that, next life we still have to start with ABC or Kalkhaga. But Bhakti Yoga, that's the beauty of Bhakti Yoga. It doesn't go down, doesn't go away. It's always with us. It remains always with us. If we have made 1% progress, Next life, depending upon our desires, depending upon our karma, whatever we have done, we can start from that point onwards. Prabhupada further says, any work begun on the material plane has to be completed, otherwise the whole attempt becomes a failure. But any work begun in Krishna consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not finished. The performer of such work is therefore not at a loss, even if his work in Krishna consciousness is incomplete. 1% done in Krishna consciousness bears permanent results, so that the next beginning is from the point of 2%. Whereas in material activity, without 100% success, there is no profit. Ajamil performed his duty in some percentage of Krishna consciousness, but the result he enjoyed at the end was 100% by the grace of the Lord. And who keeps track of it? The Lord cares. Paramatma is sitting there in our heart. He is keeping track of how much progress we are making. So Ajamil, Prabhupada quotes Ajamil. This story comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Ajamil, when he was young, when he was a little boy, he was a very nice Brahman. And he used to perform his Brahminical duties and used to help his father do his yagya by collecting wood from the forest. So one day his father asked him to go collect some wood from the forest for yagya. Ajamil went. And on his way back, he saw a prostitute hugging and kissing a man, a customer, on the roadside. So this story is not from this Kali Yuga, it must be from some other Kali Yuga. So he saw that although he was a very nice brahmachari, nice Brahman, following everything properly, but this one scene, it just stuck in his mind. And here we see so many such scenes every day. But this one scene got stuck in his mind. So he came back, he gave the wood to his father for yagya, but he was all thinking of same prostitute because she was kissing and hugging, and her clothes were also not properly, she was wearing everything. So he went after that prostitute. He, in fact, brought her home, although he was he was not a brahmachari, he was married, but he brought that prostitute home. He got so enamored by that idea of sense gratification. And then the prostitute, as usual, she had lots of demands. And Ajamil started doing all sorts of sinful activities to get money to fulfill the demands of that prostitute. And in the process, he kicked his parents out, he kicked his wife out. I don't remember if he had any children or not. He was just with the prostitute, giving her time, giving her energy, giving her money, everything. And he had many kids with that prostitute. At the advanced age of 88, he had a little son with that prostitute. Of course, Bhagavatam says prostitute's son. So it wasn't sure he was Ajamil's son or prostitute had other relationships outside also. But anyway, what had happened, because he had done some bhakti, some yogic processes in the beginning of his life, that pious activity or bhakti was still there. The effect was still there. So some sadhus came to his house. And he welcomed the sadhus, he served them food, and when they were leaving, they inquired from Ajamil, who you are and what do you do? Ajamil could not lie to them, and he told them the whole story that I'm living with a prostitute. And the sages were thinking, oh God, which house we have come to and what kind of food we have eaten. But anyway, they said, we have come, so we have to give you some blessings. And they sages said, well, you're going to have a son very soon. You just name him Narayan. That's all our blessing is. So Ajamil said, okay. So he named his little boy Narayan when he was born. But at this age, he was very much attached to his little boy, Narayan. Narayan, come here. Narayan, go there. Narayan, eat this. Narayan, don't do this. Narayan, do this. Narayan, go to sleep. Narayan, get up. He was so attached. He was always calling Narayan. And Narayan also liked to be around him. So when the time came for him, for Ajamil to leave his body, to die, so he was on his deathbed, and he saw 4 Yamdutas. So Yamdutas, when they come, obviously they're not very good-looking people, and they had very deadly dogs with them, and they bring the ropes to take the soul away. So he saw Yamdutas, and he got very, very scared looking at Yamdutas. And his son Narayan was playing nearby. So Ajamil could not get up, and he just called Narayan, Narayan, come, help me, Narayan, come. Immediately, no, he saw 3 Yamdutas, so immediately 4 Vishnudutas came. And Vishnudutas were effulgent, looking great, dressed nicely, and they came with their weapons also. And they came and they told Yamdutas that this Ajamil is a very pious person. He's not your candidate. You cannot take him. He's our candidate. And if you don't go away, we'll beat you up. And this is all happening. Ajamil is watching all this because they were in subtle body, and somehow Ajamil could see that. Baby Narayan could not see anything, and probably the prostitute was maybe in some other room of his, maybe she was outside. So nobody could see what was happening. Ajamil could see. And then there was a nice conversation between Vishnudutas and Yamdutas mentioned in Bhagavatam. And finally, Yamdutas left. And Vishnudutas, they looked at Ajamil, or the soul of Ajamil, and they said, we are giving you an extension of life. And they left. So Ajamil then understood whatever bhakti he had done in the beginning of his life, those activities, the result of those activities came in. And then he thought, he understood all the mistakes he had made throughout this life from the time he saw this prostitute until today. He said, forget everything. He left his home at this advanced age. He went to Haridwar. And there he spent rest of his life chanting and meditating on the Lord. And when he was to leave his body again, same 4 Vishnudutas came. They took him, put him on the plane back to Vaikuntha. They took him back to Vaikuntha. So the point is, even little percentage, little progress we make on this path is never lost, never lost. Of course, we cannot be so fortunate like Ajamil that when we leave the body, Vishnudutas will come and maybe give us an extended lease of life, that we can complete our progress. We might leave our body making 5% progress, And then we have to take up another body again. And we don't know where we're going to take it up again, which family, which house, which part of the world. And based on our material desires, when we're going to take up this devotional service again in that lifetime, nothing is assured. Rest assured, yes, it will happen. But when, how, where, we don't know. If we think the material or the spiritual life is very difficult right now, oh, it's so difficult. I don't have time to chant. I don't like to read. I don't like to do other activities. Well, material life is more difficult. We go through so many problems every day. And this is how Krishna has designed this material world. He calls it Dukhalayam. It's a place of misery. And with Kali Yuga progressing, the miseries, the amount and the types of miseries will definitely increase. It's not going to go down. So why take a chance that, okay, I'll just do a little bit here, I'll take it easy. And as Bhagavad Gita says, next life he'll give us chances. Well, he will give us a chance, but why take a chance? Why not finish it off in this lifetime? Why not take it up seriously? This is his mercy when he says, even a little progress is not lost on this path. Why not make a big progress, huge progress? Spiritual life is not at all difficult. Living in material world is very, very difficult. Very difficult. Always problems. Adi bhautik, adi atmik, adi daivik, klesh are always there. So why get another body to go through it again? Just let's finish it off this lifetime only. And this is what there's a nice verse in Bhagavatam. It says, if someone gives up his occupational duties and works in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? And what can one gain if one performs his material activities perfectly? Or as the Christian says, what profiteth a man if he gains the whole world, yet suffer the loss of his eternal soul? So there is no profit. Even if we gain the whole world, it's not possible for somebody to gain the whole world anyway. But what profit, even if somebody becomes the emperor of the world? Hiranyakashipu was emperor of the whole universe. We are just talking emperor of the whole world, which is not going to happen. Even if we become emperor of a country for how many years? 10, 15, 20 years. So what? What is going to happen? What's a big deal? Okay, yeah, I can pass orders and I can control these people and I can control the economy, which we cannot control fully anyway. And if I give order, my military can go and attack another country. But the question is, so what? There were so many empires in the past. The material world, nothing is permanent. Nothing. Everything is temporary. Even the whole material world is temporary. So there were so many empires in the past that we know of. Of course, historians hide many things from us. So we don't even know there were so many other empires also. But the ones that we know of, Mughal Empire, British Empire, and then there was Napoleon, then there was Hitler. Just one common theme among all. And there are maybe many more empires. One common theme. They just wanted to control the world. They just wanted to have their domination all over. How they did, to what extent they did, that's different. this one theme. Why? Because we are part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Krishna owns everything. Krishna controls everything. And so we also have those tendencies. But the problem is, and Krishna owns everything. Krishna controls everything. Everything comes from Krishna. Everything is energy. He doesn't need to go and fight other kings to take over the land. Everything belongs to him. Nothing belongs to us. But now we want to control everything. So we're going to wage wars. For that, we have to have a big army. For that, we have to have so many schemes and policies and money and this and that to wage the wars, and then we have to win. And in that war, there's so much of bloodshed. There's a chance that we might die or we might lose one of our limbs or something. There's so many things. Close associates of us can get killed. So many things can go on. And even after that, we win the country, we win some land. For how long we can control that land? Not for long. So what's the point in wasting time and energy and money and everything in that? It's all temporary. And it cannot give 100% results and 100% happiness. It cannot give. On the other hand, spiritual progress, which is blissful, full of bliss from the time we start. And as we make progress, bliss keeps on increasing. In this spiritual progress of Bhakti Yoga, we're not hurting anybody. We are not trying to take over somebody's property. In fact, if we are envious, we cannot make progress spiritually. So we have to give up. And slowly, slowly, all these negative, bad qualities go away. Only good qualities are there. And the person who's in mode of goodness and beyond that, Bhakti Yoga is beyond mode of goodness, he's always satisfied, he's always happy, even if he has very little at home. He's never complaining, never desiring to achieve anything, attain anything, get anything, possess anything. All he wants to do is serve the Lord. That's all. So material activities, even in this lifetime, they give problems, they give troubles. And more we want to attain, more troubles we're going to have. And then on top of it, at the end of life, everything will be taken away. No matter somebody is the richest man, Elon Musk, I don't know, is 200 some billion dollars worth. Next life, he has to start from scratch. But the beauty of spiritual life is whatever progress we make, it remains with us. So why waste time in making temporary progress, which doesn't give us full happiness anyway? Making temporary material progress will create more enemies for us also at the same time. It will not create friends. They'll be enemies. And even if they're so-called friends, they'll be envious of our progress. Very, very envious. So what's the point? In the end, there's no point. Well, how does it make us happy? Everybody wants to be happy. That's a constitutional position of the soul. Anandamayo abhyasa. Everybody wants to be happy. But the problem is we are seeking happiness in wrong places. And once we are conditioned with that, We think I'll be more happy if I have this, if I have that. No, not gonna happen. Real happiness lies in bhakti. And the real progress also lies in bhakti. So we have to try to make more progress, get more serious, get more determined, get more sincere on this path. And this progress will remain with us forever, eternal. So Prabhupada further says, material activities and the results end with the body. But work in Krishna consciousness carries a person again to Krishna consciousness, even after the loss of the body. At least one is sure to have a chance in the next life of being born again as a human being, either in the family of a great cultured Brahmin or in a rich aristocratic family. That will give one a further chance for elevation. That is a unique quality of work done in Krishna consciousness. So this Arjun asked this question in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and that's what Krishna explains. That is somebody, a yogi, if he dies after making little progress or more progress, then what happens to him? But definitely that progress is never, ever lost. Never. So we have to work on that. And how we can work on that? With determined mind, sole purpose, single purpose, aim, or with, okay, I'll do this also, meanwhile I'll do that also, this also, then what happens? And Krishna says, Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha gurunandana bahushaka yanantasha buddhyo vyavasayina. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. A strong faith that by Krishna consciousness one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called Vyavasayatmika intelligence. So Vyavasayatmika. So generally Vyavasaya means some kind of business. If somebody takes up some kind of business. So when somebody starts a business, his only aim is one, to make profit. That's it. No other aim. So one who takes up this process, if he has one-pointed intelligence that I want to make progress, then he can be successful. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Prabhupada says, a strong faith that by Krishna consciousness, one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called Vyavasayatmika intelligence. Single focus, single pointed attention. Faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. Unflinching trust means we don't deviate then. Unflinching. Just like a child has full faith in his parents, full faith. Sometimes a father he plays with the child, he throws him up in the air, and a child has full faith that when I'm going to come down, my father is going to catch me. And then he is happy. Father is happy, child is happy. So that is faith. When one is engaged in the duties of Krishna consciousness, he need not act in relationship to the material world with obligations to family traditions, humanity, or nationality. Fruitive activities are the engagements of one's reactions from past good or bad deeds. When one is awake in Krishna consciousness, he need no longer endeavor for good results in his activities. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, all activities are on the absolute plane, For they are no longer subject to dualities like good and bad. Everything is good in spiritual world. Even the seemingly bad or apparently bad thing, it's not actually bad. We have to see it through the right eyes. The highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is renunciation of the material conception of life. This state is automatically achieved by progressive Krishna consciousness. So when we start making progress in Krishna consciousness or in bhakti, in the process, slowly, our material desires start to go away. They themselves go away. Because we're not feeding those material desires anymore. It's not like by reducing our material desires and activities will make progress spiritually. No, by making progress spiritually, slowly, gradually, automatically, those material desires, things start going away. And this is how we make progress. One-pointed, single-pointed attention or the aim. That's what we need. The resolute purpose of a person in Krishna consciousness is based on knowledge. A person in Krishna consciousness is a rare good soul who knows perfectly that Vasudeva or Krishna is the root of all manifested causes. As by watering the root of a tree, one automatically distributes water to the leaves and branches. So by acting in Krishna consciousness, one can render the highest service to everyone, namely self, family, society, country, humanity, etc. If Krishna is satisfied by one's actions, then everyone will be satisfied. So we think we have so many duties to the self, to the family, society, country, humanity, and so on. But as this example is given, by watering the root of a tree, the water automatically goes to all the branches, all the sub-branches, all the leaves, flowers, fruits, everywhere. The water automatically goes. So one doesn't need to water every leaf of the tree and every flower and every fruit and every branch and thinking this way I'll make the tree happy, I'll make the tree very, very well flourished. No. Only process is water, put the water at the root. So similarly, Acharyas have explained, by watering the root of the whole material, the tree of material and spiritual worlds, which is Krishna. Krishna clearly says, everything comes from me, means he is the root of everything, and beyond also. So by watering, by serving him properly, we are serving the whole society, the whole community, the whole creation, if we are serving Krishna, because he is the root. And then automatically the water or nourishment will go to the other parts of our lives, whether it is family or society or community, whatever. And also, there's nothing wrong in taking care of the family. If one has been given a family, one is a part of a family, it's one's duty, it's one's responsibility to take care of the family. But how to take care? That's the question. We take care of the family, understanding, and that's the purpose is knowledge. By knowledge, one makes progress. So knowledge is everybody and everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. He is the root of everything. And when we see that root in our family members also, we understand he or she is part of this family and he has made me part of this family to serve them, to take care of them as parts of Krishna. So it's my duty to serve my family, take care of my family, because they all are parts of Krishna. And since I'm trying to be a devotee of Krishna, I'm trying to be a servant of Krishna, his parts also have to be served by me. This is my duty. So in that way, if we take care of our family, that's wonderful. Nothing wrong with that. So our vision has changed. The situation hasn't changed. Our vision, our reaction to that situation has changed. And this is spirituality. Spirituality doesn't mean we leave everything, go to the forest. Arjun wanted to leave everything, go to the forest. Krishna did not let him. So same thing applies to us. And as Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur instructs us in his famous prayers for the spiritual master, by satisfaction of the spiritual master, the supreme personality of Godhead becomes satisfied. And by not satisfying the spiritual master, there is no chance of being promoted to the plane of Krishna consciousness. I should therefore meditate and pray for his mercy 3 times a day and offer my respectful obeisances unto him, my spiritual master. So actually, this was the verse or the commentary on this verse by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He wrote, of all kinds of intelligence, the best is intelligence focused in Bhakti Yoga. In Bhakti Yoga, one's intelligence becomes single-pointed or fixed in determination. One thinks the instructions of my spiritual master to worship the personality of Godhead by chanting, remembering, serving his feet, and so on, are my only sadhana, my only sadhya, and my only livelihood. I'm incapable of giving up these instructions, either in the stage of practice or in the stage of perfection. They alone are my object of desire and my only responsibility. Besides them, I can desire no other responsibility, not even in my dreams. It's all the same to me, whether I feel happy or unhappy, or whether my material existence is eradicated or not. Means my only desire is to obey the orders of my spiritual master. So there are criteria for who is the spiritual master and what kind of instructions he gives. Those we'll study as we make progress in Bhagavad Gita study. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that's my only goal of life, is to follow the instructions of my spiritual master. And this is what single-pointed or Vyavasayatmika Buddhi is. And Srila Prabhupada said that this purport or commentary, this is what guided him to take up this process of preaching mission, coming to the West, because this was the first instruction he received from his spiritual master. That when Abhay Charan, he was not initiated, so he met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj told him, you look like a very nice, young, educated young boy. So why don't you go to the Western countries and preach the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in English language? So even after so many years had passed in India, these instructions of his guru, Prabhupada, never forgot. So yes, there was some time gap between the instruction and the execution of those instructions. But Prabhupada never forgot. I always remembered his instructions, and my determination was to carry out those instructions. So that was a single-pointed or fixed in determination in carrying out the instructions. And we all know that because of Prabhupada's carrying out of the instructions, what happened, how ISKCON was started, and how Prabhupada wrote so many books and so many temples were opened in only 12 years, 108 temples all over the world, just because Prabhupada said, this is what I want to follow. With full determination, fixed up, he just followed his spiritual master. And just imagine if he hadn't followed. And if he had also, oh no, my guru, he doesn't know what he's talking. How can anybody go to Western world and try to preach over there? Nobody wants to listen. And so many excuses we can come up with. And if he hadn't started this ISKCON movement, can we imagine our lives right now? I don't think on Saturday morning and for India Saturday evening, we would be sitting and discussing Bhagavad Gita. We would be partying somewhere or sleeping late or whatever we would be doing. Definitely not Bhagavad Gita discussions. So point is, so we also have to have that fixed determination in our lives to make progress spiritually. And it's a very easy, at the same time, very blissful process that Prabhupada has given. It's not that difficult. It's not at all difficult, actually. So, but for that, we have to have that single pointed attention. The whole process, however, depends on perfect knowledge of the soul beyond the conception of the body, not theoretically, but practically. When there is no longer a chance for sense gratification manifested in fruitive activities. One who is not firmly fixed in mind is diverted by various types of fruitive acts. So then he starts thinking, oh, maybe I should do this and make some money here, and I should do that and make some money here, and so on and so forth. So that's what happens when we are not fixed to make spiritual progress. And then Krishna says, so to make us more determined, more resolute, he gives this example. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipashchitah vedavadarata partha nanyad astiti vadina kamatmana swargapara janma karma fadapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogashvarya gatim prati. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. So men of small knowledge, those who are resolute in purpose of making progress in yoga, they are different. They are men of real good knowledge. But those who don't have, what happened? They're very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas. So Vedas, in general, we can say, it deals with mostly Karma Kanda. 96% of Vedic texts deal with Karma Kanda. Why? Because people are like that. This is what people want to follow. 3.9% we can say is Jnana Kanda, gives some real knowledge. And only very little, 0.1% is Upasana Kanda or Bhakti Yoga. And that is why when Ved Vyasi had compiled all the Vedas and given all the ways how to make progress materially, how to go to heavenly planets, and he had described this lawn mowers are outside. When he had described the heavenly planets, that there is so much of opulence, so much of comfort, so much of enjoyment, material enjoyment nonetheless, but enjoyment is there in the heavenly planets. So one should do this karma kanda, this yajna, this tapa, this vrata, this charity, and he will make progress. He'll go to heaven and he will enjoy there. But he himself was not satisfied. And that's when Narad Muni came to him, his guru, and he said, "You're not satisfied because what you have given it is not satisfying. You have not talked about the Supreme Lord's qualities, his pastimes, his dham, and the haven't stressed on bhakti yoga. How can you be satisfied?" So the person who wrote all the Vedas, who compiled, not wrote, because Vedas are given by the Supreme Lord, he's not satisfied by writing. So how can we be satisfied by following those paths? And this is what Krishna says here. They're very much men of small knowledge. Of course, it requires some knowledge to follow the Vedas. They are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas. So why flowery words? Because flower is good, it looks good, smells good, feels good. And if you eat some, say, rose petal, which is very organically grown, it tastes good also. But it's temporary. It's not permanent. And this is what flowery words of Vedas mean. It's what they recommend going to heaven, the karma kanda, it's all temporary. And this is what translation says, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets or result in good birth, power, and so forth. Generally, people say what? Oh, do good deeds and you will get good results. But everybody is suffering. Everybody is having some good results, not denying that. But in the end, everybody is suffering. Whether their own body, some disease, or some mental, emotional problems given by others, whether children, parents, in-laws, friends, relatives, neighbors, other communities, other country people, animals, insects. It could be so many. They are giving us problems. And then there could be natural disasters. Too much rain, not enough rain, too much heat, too much cold, snow, earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, whatever. It could be so many. But this is how he has created the material world. And on this, if we think, oh, I do good deed and I will have a good life, it's always a combination, always. No matter how successful a person we meet, how rich, how influential, how powerful, how intelligent, how knowledgeable person we meet, he or she will definitely have problems, lots of problems. So then what's the point? But this is what Vedas recommend. Why Vedas recommend this? Because to make us make progress gradually. All of a sudden, nobody can give up everything and start doing bhakti. Okay, follow the Vedas, make some progress. Slowly, you will come in contact with the devotee and then you will take up devotion service. That's the whole purpose. And also it says, being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. This is what Vedas say. Prabhupada says, people in general are not very intelligent and due to their ignorance, they are most attached to fruitive activities recommended in the karma kanda portion of the Vedas. They don't want anything more than sense gratificatory proposals for enjoying life in heaven where wine and women are available and material opulence is very common. But even if somebody goes to heaven, once the bank balance of his pious activities is over, he has to come back to this material world again. I mean, to come back to this earth again, earthly planet again. Heaven is also in the material world, it's not outside. In the Vedas, many sacrifices are recommended for elevation to the heavenly planets, especially the Jyotish Doma sacrifices. In fact, it is stated that anyone desiring elevation to heavenly planets must perform these sacrifices, and men with a poor fund of knowledge think that this is the whole purpose of Vedic wisdom. Actually, it's not. But since that is what is stressed on in Vedas, people think this is it. It's very difficult for such inexperienced persons to be situated in the determined action of Krishna consciousness. As fools are attached to the flowers of poisonous trees without knowing the results of such attractions, unenlightened men are similarly attracted by such heavenly opulence and sense enjoyment thereof. And actually, when we are more attached to sense enjoyment, either whether in the heaven or on earth, but heaven-like, we think heaven-like enjoyment, we are more miserable with as soon as it is taken away from us, and we are so attached to it, we are more miserable by even the thought of losing it. We will think, I cannot live without it. What will happen to my reputation if it is taken away, if I lose it? So that thought gives us more trouble than the pleasure of enjoying the heavenly pleasures. In the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, it is said, Apama Somam Amrita, or in other words, those who perform the 4-month penances, 4-month Chaturmasya, become eligible to drink the Soma Rasa beverages to become immortal and happy forever. It's not immortal because even Brahmaji, the first created being, is not immortal. All it means is, and not happy forever, it's just live a long life, a very happy life in the heavenly planets. Even on this earth, some are very eager to have Somaras, to become strong and fit to enjoy sense gratifications. Such persons have no faith in liberation from material bondage, and they're very much attached to the pompous ceremonies of Vedic sacrifices. They are generally sensual and did not want anything other than the heavenly pleasures of life. It is understood that there are gardens called Nandan Kanan in which there is good opportunity for association with angelic, beautiful women and having a profuse supply of Somaras wine. Such bodily happiness is certainly sensual. Therefore, there are those who are purely attached to such material, temporary happiness as lords of the material world. So they think like this, but it's not permanent, it's only temporary, and the such temporary material happiness, and it will make us more attached, more desires, material desires will be there, and which leads to just perpetual life of birth, death, old age, disease, and other miseries. What's the point? It's actually a wastage of time. Spending less time than all this Kanda activities, spending less than that on bhakti will give us permanent and more blissful results than anybody can take away from us. So that's why we should be more determined, more resolute to make progress spiritually or on the path of bhakti. So I guess I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, so we'll stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.